One of my good friends, Holden, when he was a kid, he would spend a lot of time on screens in the forms of iPhones, iPads, laptops, any sort of device, especially that had a screen. And throughout the years, Holden would evolve and he would spend a lot more time on the screens and he would even be watching TV or playing video games. And throughout the years, Holden said he would get many headaches and his vision actually ended up getting worse due to these screens. And these screens have things such as blue light, and just looking at them can cause eye strain and cause damage to your brain. And throughout the years, Holden now has to wear eyeglasses and contacts for him to see straight. If he doesn't have these glasses or contacts, he cannot see, and everything's very blurry to him. And this is one of the negative consequences that comes from spending high amounts of times on screens, from phones, tablets, laptops, and other devices. And according to Science News, United States kids from ages 8 to 11 spend about 3.6 hours a day on a device. Now, this is an extremely high amount of time, as there are only 14 to 16 hours a day that we are awake. Today, I will teach you how screen time on devices negatively affects kids and why you should not allow your children to have high amounts of screen time. I'll be talking about the problems of brain damage, or I'll be talking about the problems, which are brain damage, less sleep, and eye strain. We'll be talking about the causes, which are high screen time and kids owning their own devices. And we'll be talking about solutions, which are blue light glasses and parent intervention. And kids are the future generation. And for these kids to have brain ailments would not be good for them. So let's talk about the problems. Brain damage, less sleep, and eye strain. According to CNN, on October 19th, 2017, kids under the age of 8 spend 2+ hours with screen media. Now, this is an extremely high amount of time, as these kids can be doing other things such as going outside and having physical activity, making social relations with other friends, spending time with their families, and just other things such as that. And the screen time has negative impacts on their brains. And according to Big Think, on December 10th, 2018, kids who spend 7 or more hours a day have premature thinning in the cortex of their brains. Now, premature thinning in the cortex of the brain is not a good thing, as this causes the brain to deform. And this deformity can cause kids to have lower grades, not socialize as well, and other issues. Also, according to Big Think, 54% of teenagers said that they spend too much time on screens or cellular devices, such as iPhones. Now, teenagers are extremely stubborn, so for them to come out and say this, that they're spending too much time, is a big thing to say. And according to Science Daily on November 1st, 2017, the eyes of kids are more sensitive than the adults, and the blue lights from screens strain their eyes. Now, adults usually can sit on your laptop for about 5 or 6 hours and not receive much eye strain. Now, if a kid did this through their eyes, a lot of more blue light affects their eyes, which can cause eye strain. And also, according to Science Daily, less sleep from time spent on devices causes lower melatonin levels, and they usually fall twice as much than adults do. Now, these lower melatonin levels causes kids body clocks to stay up longer and later, which will cause them the next morning to wake up and feel groggy, and this can cause them to have lower grades on tests, have worse days, and be less social with people because they just do not feel like they're awake because of the time they spent on their phone at the night before with lower melatonin levels and not producing at what levels that they should be. Now let's talk about the causes. We'll talk about high screen time and kids owning their own devices. According to the New York Times on December 10th, 2018, a study called 60 Minutes showed that high screen time equaled lower scores of aptitude tests for children. Now, going back to what I was saying about the lower melatonin levels, the kids spending higher amounts of times on their screens, especially at night, cause their aptitude tests to be lower, especially because when they wake up in the morning, they feel groggy and they don't feel like they have the energy to go out and do well that day. Now, according to the New York Times on November 4th, 2019, a JAMA pediatric study showed that high screen exposure showed kids to have worse expressive language. And this talks about kids who are unable to have good social relations and good social talks with their parents, with their friends, or their family, and not having to be able to express yourself with language can cause kids to fall into depression. This is why we see a lot of people falling into depression and loneliness these days, especially kids that are younger, because of the time they're spending on their screens, which that time they could be spending talking to their parents or their friends and creating more relationships and not falling into depression. And according to CNN on October 19th, 2017, 42% of kids that were 8 years old and under own their own devices. And this is an extremely high amount, especially compared to when I was a kid. I didn't own my first phone until around 10 or 11 years old. And these kids have their own devices, and they can pretty much do whatever they want, as parents usually do not restrict kids on their phones, and usually at dinners and events they'll have their kids go on their phones to distract them so they can talk to the other parents. Also, according to CNN, 98% of households have at least one device. So this shows that technology does run our lives, and 98% of households have these devices, which will allow their kids to have easy access to these devices. So let's talk about some solutions, such as blue light glasses and parent intervention. Blue light glasses are actually the glasses I'm wearing right now. These glasses prevent blue light from entering my eyes and my retinas and can help protect my iris and my pupil and will not allow for eye strain. And blue light glasses combat eye strain and promote sleep. According to WebMD on December 16th, 2019, blue light glasses have a 58% increase in nighttime melatonin levels. So this increases melatonin. So if kids were to have these when, let's say, if they're on their devices where parents were not intervening with restrictions on their devices, this shows that 58% of them would have higher melatonin levels, which will increase will increase better night sleeps for them, so they can wake up the next day feeling energetic and empowered to go take the day on. Also, blue light glasses are extremely affordable, as the ones I'm wearing right now are $20 on Amazon. So let's talk about parent intervention. Parent intervention should have parents intervening with their kids and showing kids restrictions on screen time. So at night, a screen time lockout can be initiated where the kids can only be on the screen from a certain amount of time to another certain amount of time. Or you can also have set a screen limit per day where you can have your kid only be on your phone for 1 hour. And these screen time lockouts will help a lot of kids stay off their phones because they won't be able to access them. Also, not letting children own their own devices until they're at least 10 years old is a big help, as we saw that the thinning of the front cortex in the brain is a big negative impact that shows that kids are negatively being affected by these screen times. Also, according to Time, on January 28, 2019, a woman named Sherry Madden, who was at the University of Calgary, conducted a study where kids from 2 to 5 showed that they had worse performance on development measures who had high screen times. And this is just another example, another study that shows that screen times on iPhones, iPads, laptops, other devices have negative effects on kids. And kids will not restrict themselves, so parent intervention is crucial. Now we've talked about the problems, the causes, and the solutions of why screen time is negatively affecting children and why we should stop them. Shows that the lower melatonin levels in kids causes less sleep, which causes them to be groggy the next day. They have eye strains and they have brain damage that are all damaging their brains. And the kids are the future of the generation, and as part of the next generation, and as a future, and as parents want their kids to be helpful and good to the generation, we should all go into the solutions of blue light glasses and parent intervention. Thank you.